In ancient India, yoga students were taught to question all of reality and that they are not who they think they are. Through a series of philosophical proofs, they could train themselves to view their notions of individual identities as being misleading. Mastery is not quite seeing reality as an illusion, as it often is put, but more like an acceptance of the limitations of our perceptions. Things are not exactly as they seem. In Buddhist terms, things do not exist inherently of themselves. Back in the day, until a student became an expert in not taking their perceptions too seriously, they couldn't move on to the next level. Fortunately for us, this information is in books and we can fast forward through the tedious and sometimes painful Eastern educational process. However, similar to learning math, if you really don't understand the basics, you can't understand what's next. Try teaching calculus to a toddler that is just grasping the concept of addition. You'll quickly see he'll be frustrated and confused. Mastering the concept of emptiness and the real self, which, by the way, are terrible terms to describe the contents of this lesson. If the Dalai Lama is reading this, please revamp the translations because the phrase empty of inherent existence is ridiculous in English. Anyways, rest assured, I'm going to save you the years and tears of meditation practice with this following takeaway. Are you ready? Here it is. Don't trust your thoughts. Once again, don't trust your thoughts. We're not always right. The human mind is built for speed, not accuracy. What you think of as you isn't as exactly as you think it is. What you think of as someone else other than you isn't exactly as your brain has concluded. What you think of as something is also not exactly as you've concluded it is. Thich Nhat Hanh, in his book Anger, Wisdom for Cooling the Flame, says, "We have to be very careful with our perceptions, otherwise we will suffer. It is very helpful to write on a piece of paper, 'Are you sure?' and hang it up in your room." In medical clinics and hospitals, they're beginning to hang up these kinds of signs. Even if you are sure, check again. It is a caution that if a disease is not detected early, then it will be very difficult to heal. The medical doctors are not thinking in terms of mental formations. They are thinking in terms of a hidden disease. But we can also make use of this slogan. Even if you are sure, check again. We have made ourselves suffer. We made a hell for ourselves and our beloved ones because of our perceptions. Are you sure of your perception? There are people who suffer from a wrong perception for 10 or 20 years. They are sure the other person has betrayed them or hates them, even though the other person has only good intentions. A person who is the victim of a wrong perception makes himself and the people around him suffer a lot. When it comes to achieving your dreams, we're essentially talking about molding and forcing reality to your desires. If you are an expert on Vedanta and Buddhist philosophy, that's awesome. That means you understand the poorly translated and often horribly explained concept of emptiness, and you're ahead of the game. But if this is a new lesson for you, don't worry. In terms of shaping your reality, just remember that things are not as they appear, including your concept of yourself, and that you should doubt your thoughts often. The second concept of real self is a bit more philosophical. But the important crux of the study is to understand the interconnectedness of everything. Of course, this leads to thinking about cause and effect, and I found it important to acknowledge that even the conclusion that everything has a cause and every action has an effect should be doubted. Total random and or black swan events are possible whether we like it or not. We'll get to more on randomness later. But just think about this. Our notions of cause and effect might not be real. To the credit of the strict ancient methodology, it should be noted that these concepts need to be truly felt effortlessly and habitually. It's not good enough to just intellectually agree with them, because we run the risk of second-guessing ourselves into failure if we haven't put down a strong conceptual foundation. We must master ourselves before we can master the world outside ourselves.